Hey everybody, and welcome to my mini review of the Insta360 ONE X2. The first thing I need to point out is that the Insta360 ONE X and the ONE X2 that I'm showing in this video were sent to me by Insta360 to make reviews on. I was sent this about a year or so ago, and I've done my reviews on it. And you can see from that and the review of the 1R that I've done that I give honest reviews. Normally, I leave it a month or so through hard use before I make a video or review, but Insta would like me to get a video up before Christmas. So what I can do in the meantime, I'm going to make a proper review in the future, is this video, which is simply to answer the question, is the Insta360 ONE X2 better than the ONE X? One thing I need to tell you before we get on is that Insta360 have a Christmas sale on at the moment. I think it's like up to 40% off some items. I also have a code in the description that you can use, which gets you 15% off some items. However, I'm pretty sure that the ONE X2 is not on that code and it only applies to the 1R. The 1R I have reviewed. If you're interested in one of those cameras, maybe watch my review before buying one. That's just something I just had to let you know about. However, I will say they do have the motorcycle bundle at the moment, which is the camera and a load of bits and pieces that you'd use when you're on a motorcycle, and most of them are what I would call the must-own things, and when you look at all the stuff in the kit, it might be worth getting. I'll very quickly show you that at the end of the video, but just to make you aware, if you're going to grab one of these, they do a motorcycle kit and all the stuff in it, stuff you will kind of want, I think. I'm not going to keep you holding on to the end of the video for the answer. I'm going to tell you now, yes, the ONE X2, or the 2X as I'm calling it, is better than the ONE X, and I'll now explain why. If you appreciate the fact that I gave you the answer early, hit the like button. Okay, so why is this better? Is it better in resolution? Not in numbers. The ONE X2, 2X, can do 5.7K 30 FPS. The ONE X can do 5.7K 30 FPS. However, as a motorcycle rider, I don't want to use 30 FPS, I need it to be faster than that. So the first setting that you can use the camera in 50 FPS is 4K. Now something to remember here is that the 4K, say from a GoPro, you know, it's a flat, square, well, rectangular image. If it's 4K, it's the 4K across it. On a 360 camera, the 5.7K is all of the way around. So say you took 180 degrees of 5K, you would get 2.5K equivalent, roughly. But just be aware, as I say, that number is all the way around. But whatever, the 4K is what I use the ONE X in and has absolutely been great this whole time. The only thing that I've found with the ONE X is that it can get a little bit grainy when you zoom in a bit. So I was hoping for a bit more resolution, but in numbers, there isn't any. However, when you put this one in 4K, and I have a comparison video you can watch that I've already released, which has got some footage from the ONE X and the 2X, and this in a couple of different modes. Check that out if you want to see lots of videos of it being used, like, you know, so you can compare. I found that the 2X in 4K 50 FPS, the same setting as the ONE X, is better. It's clearer, it's sharper, it's got much better colours, and you can zoom in more and not notice so much grain. I don't know whether the 4K before on this is being upscaled a little bit. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is that although the specs are the same, the video quality out of this is much improved. Much improved, it's improved. So, resolution. On paper, they look the same. The ONE X2 is definitely better. One nice thing about Insta360 is they clearly listen to their customers, because when I did a review of the ONE X, I and a few other people shouted from the rooftops, why don't you make this camera film from just one lens as an option? Because if you're using it chest mounted, for instance, you don't need the back lens to film your chest, you just want the front one. And one of the problems with this is that it does a crossover exposure between the two camera lenses. So if you have this against your chest and it's very dark, it's going to overexpose the camera in front. And the way I got around that, and there's a tip to anyone, if you have that problem, put white tape on the front of your jacket, then when you chest mount it, it throws up the exposure of the back one more, which evens out the front one. But obviously, you're still using 360 degree video, recording your chest and using all that extra memory for no reasons. And Insta360 has listened, and they have put a one lens function in the Insta360 ONE X2. Before I talk about the single lenses though, there is something that I had in the past, like a preconception about 360 cameras that I want to just express. If you think this way, I'm afraid it's not true, which is that I thought of a 360 camera as a camera that you record 360 all the time. You know, it's just a big ball. And you do. However, the benefit of a 360 camera is not to upload those videos that give someone the ability to swipe around and look anywhere, because the whole point of making a video is you tell the audience where to look. If they're not knowing where to look, they're going to miss the best bits. It's your job as a content creator to show the parts that you want to show. I didn't consider the fact that what you actually use them for more than anything is choosing your angle. You know, I can put that on my handlebars. I don't have to line it up or anything like that. I know it's going to be, well, apart from the fact there is a stitch line between the two cameras, obviously, because there can't be a camera here. There's a stitch line coming out here. So as long as it's mostly facing you, straight on, you can select out the size, the width, height, you know, you can spin things around. It's very creative. But for my uses on a motorcycle, I just can lock the frame to what looks nice and export that. And I should mention there, export that as in the Insta360 software. When you get a 360 video out of this, unless you have Premiere and you can use plugins and things, or maybe some other software, you have to put it into their program. You go in there, you select what you want it to do throughout the shots, whether that just be a locked off shot for like when I do bike reviews, or whether I want it to be moving around, whatever, like I did in the comparison video between the two cameras. You do all that and then you export it out. You can't put it straight into an editor unless, as I say, you've got Premiere and you've got the plugin and that sort of stuff. Slight sidetrack, but as I say, that's what makes these cameras valuable, and it's something that I completely overlooked. Now, the single lens mode. Yes, you can now record out of one of the lenses. It's a very handy feature, and one of the benefits to using it in its basic mode is that the video that it outputs can be put straight into an editor. The only thing I found with it is that it's 150-degree field of view, which is probably fine for most people, but because of the distance I could put it out on my bike using my current mounts, it was a bit narrow. The other disadvantage, as it were, because of course there's a payoff. You get easy export straight into your editor, you're going to lose something. And the basic mode in the single lens looks a bit darker. There isn't as many adjustments you can do to it. However, if you put it in the Pro mode, it's the same aspect ratio and everything, but because you can run it through the software, you can put some stabilization on it. It also seems like the brightness and the lighting and the quality of the video is better in the Pro mode, but it does mean that you have to do a bit of post work to get it into your editor. Not that big of a deal for me. However, as I say, because in my instance of using it on the bike that I've tried to use it on, it was too close to me, I would like to have a one lens feature where it uses the entire hemisphere. So I end up with a round, you know, image, and I can choose whatever I want out of that, because I always use just one lens anyway, but I need it wider than the 150, which means that I'm going to have to use this in 360 mode all the time anyway to get the shot that I want. Not a problem, because if anything goes on around me, it's interesting to be able to swing about and forwards. And because I use a separate audio recorder, should my GoPro die or something go wrong with it, I can get two feeds out of this. Remember, I can export a video back facing me and export a video facing forwards, and I would be able to salvage a video with forward and backwards facing video, and I've lost the entire main camera. Redundancy in your operations is very important when it comes to recording videos. Yeah, let's just say that much. I've discovered it a lot in my time. So well done Insta360 for adding the single lens mode. It will be very useful for many people. One of the benefits, like the way they've interpreted people using it, is that this has a screen on it, which I'll talk about, that you can actually see. And if you hold the camera like this, you can just keep it very steady with the flow state and follow people around, and it would be a great little handheld camera to use like a point and shoot in that mode. Because, you know, you don't always want to record 360, but this is where I say I review things from my perspective because I'm a motorcycle vlogger. I don't review it from the perspective of someone using it to take little home videos. It's just not what I do with it. But it would be very good at that in that mode. Some other improvements over the One X is the One X came with this battery, which is like the old GoPro smaller batteries. These last for about 45 minutes, which happens to be about the exact same time that you'll get on a 32GB card at 4K 50fps in 360 mode on this. So every 45 minutes I used to have to pull over, switch this battery and a memory card. Well, because I use 32GB memory cards, now I've got bigger ones, but if you've got to change the battery anyway, you know. The One X2 now has this big Mama Jamma battery, and this thing lasts for about 2 hours, roughly. What I did was I was out recording some bits and pieces. I was a bit stop and start, some bike stuff, and then when I got home I just put it on the side, left it on record in a place that things were moving, because that will use more memory and battery, and it recorded 3 30-minute slides plus all the other bits and pieces. That adds up to about 2 hours. So 2 hours out one of those batteries is brilliant, and it just so happens to be about the same time that the Hero 9 goes through its battery. So as I use a Hero 9 on my chin and this on the bars, every time I need to stop and replace the battery for that, I'm back in line with this, which is fantastic news, because I loved it when I could pull over, you know, you take 5 minutes, have a little break, switch over memory cards, switch over batteries, record, go, you know, you're good. That's a good improvement. I like it. And the reason why this is got little tabs, as I say, in my normal reviews I'd show you close-ups and all that stuff. Being quicker on this one. You can work it out, there are other videos out there. This is waterproof now. This was not waterproof, and that was one of the big disadvantages of this camera for me, was that I couldn't use it in the rain. This is submergible to 10 meters, so it's going to do perfectly fine in the English weather. Although I will say, I don't know how well it's going to look, or how good it's going to look, if there's water droplets on this lens and it's facing me. It might, you know, take up an awful lot of space. You imagine a little tiny dot on your eye, that close, it creates quite a big blur. I was trying to find the word. One other thing to note while I'm in here is that the SD card slot has been moved inside here. Slightly less convenient than the one on the bottom of the One X, which is just here on the bottom. But there's pros and cons to this. Okay, so this is easier to get to, but this isn't waterproof. This is harder to get to, but it is waterproof. Okay, well, that makes sense. But also, when this is on a tripod, you have to take it off the tripod mount to get to the memory card, which means you have to move it. Whereas in this one, you can take the battery out, click that, take it out, battery in, SC card in, battery in. No taking it off its mount. So, at first I thought, that's annoying it being in there. I'd rather it could be a separate door. I mean, it would be nice if they'd managed to fit it under the next door up here, but maybe waterproofing isn't as possible. Compared to, like, a USB 3 port. USB-C port, not 3. Another feature they've added to the One X2, which makes sense for this, but didn't really make sense for the One X, was that the One X just had this little screen here that just tells you what mode you're recording in. As I say, this is a 360 camera, so as long as I know that the stitch lines are coming out the side here and this needs to generally face me, I don't need to line it up precisely, so I don't need a screen I can view. You can use the app to do that, but I didn't need it in this example most of the time. However, with this having the single lens mode, the One X2, they have this little screen on it. Turn on, come on. There we go. This little screen is mad. It's a touch screen, it's round, it looks very cool. When you look at yourself in it, you feel like you're looking into a little porthole. You're like, oh, hello, little man in there. It's... However, moving on to the serious side of this, the reason why it's on here is so that if you use this as a point and shoot in the single lens mode, you can actually look what you're doing, and you need to, obviously 150-degree field of view is not that wide, so you need to have a rough idea of that things are in the middle. So having that screen on there allows you to, check footage back, look at settings, be able to use it in the single lens mode and see what you're actually filming, and you can also check shots, I suppose you can say that, when you're using it in the 360 mode. Because if you're too close to an edge or something, you can get some weird things, and you can check what the stitch lines are, kind of. So it's a new feature. It's not like game-changing, but I do like it, and I think it's worth the extra battery that will use. It does turn itself off, so it's fun. Although, obviously, this is another place for this camera to be damaged. Something about 360 cameras in general we need to be careful with is you notice that the lenses stick out further than anything else. So if you've got to put it on a surface, it always rests on the lens, and you don't want to do that. They come with these neoprene cases, so when you store them, you can just pop them in these and put it in your pocket, put it on the side, and it's fine. And there's also a more beefy version in the motorcycle bundle I'll talk about at the end of the video. One more improvement the 2X has got over the 1X is the 1X only has a couple of microphones on it, front and back basically. So if it's very windy, I think it does phase between the two of them, but it's not as good. On the new one, it's got 4 microphones, front, back, left, right. And you can tell when you're riding along that when it starts getting very windy and, on the mic, it turns that one off and switches to the back ones that are in the lee of the wind and just goes with the quietest mics basically. And I won't use raw audio in what I do, I have no need to, but if you were to upload raw videos of you riding somewhere, rather than having disgusting wind noise, or at least in my experience, disgusting wind noise from this camera, it's actually been alright. It's been usable, I would even say. As I say, I don't use raw audio, but it's even helpful for me because it's clearer to hear the claps and the talking and stuff to try and get everything synced together better. So that's another little benefit of the new camera. And that's basically it. As I say, it's little tweaks here, little tweaks there, extra feature here, extra feature there. The waterproofness is probably the biggest deal in all of this, for me anyway. So now I've gone through all those points, I hope you can see that the One X2 is definitely better than the One X. So that leads me to the question that many of you may be asking, which is, well, I own an Insta360 ONE X. Is it worth buying or upgrading to the 2X? And it's that classic old tale that happens with all these sorts of things when it is a good improvement in places, but not game-changing. If you have a One X and you find it works fine for you, I think, unless you want that video quality or the waterproofness or the extra battery life, it's not really worth upgrading. However, if you don't have a 360 camera like one of these and you want one, I would go for this because it's got all those extra features. I know these will be cheaper. I mean, I think this has even been discontinued now with the new ones out, and I know there'll be deals out there. So it is a very viable option if you can get them much, much cheaper. But if you're buying brand new, I might suggest getting this one because that extra battery life, being able to use it in single lens and stuff, there is... well, I may actually, this is the thing, because as I say, I normally spend a couple of months doing my reviews and I haven't been able to experience all the benefits that this might have. Like maybe when I'm recording bits of footage for the reviews I do on the bikes, maybe this would be really handy because it's got the flow state stabilization and I can see the stuff on the screen. Maybe the single lens will turn out to be a lot more useful for me than I realise at this point. I don't know. But that's kind of my thoughts on whether it's worth getting. That's always a bit of a personal decision anyway, because it depends on your income and, you know, your free expenditure. If we were all millionaires, I would tell you to go and get the new one all day long. Right, last things last, this bundle I talk of, and I'll also talk about a couple of the features of the Insta360 that you may not be aware of if you're new to them. As I say, I'm making this video from the perspective of someone who kind of has an idea of the One X was, and if you want to know everything that thing could do, watch my video on it, or watch my videos and see what I can do with it. But yeah, as I was saying, they have the Christmas deal on at the moment. I don't think my code's going to work against this or be useful for this, whatever. I just know it's on there. It's about 60 quid on top of the camera, and you get a few bits and pieces, but it actually looks like a reasonable deal. I haven't totally cost out the individual parts of this, but it seems like for about 60 quid, it's probably okay. So obviously you get the camera, that comes with a case, charging cable. That's pretty much it in the box. This is the Insta360 selfie stick. Basically, you click it one way, it unlocks, and you can extend this. It's about 1 meter long, and you can lock it off at any length you want, and it allows you to have the camera on the end of it. The wonderful thing about this is that in the video, because it knows where this stick's going to be, because it's directly underneath the camera, both cameras do this by the way, it automatically removes this stick so you don't see it. So if you have this like over your shoulder, it just looks like there's a camera up in the air and you've got something there you can kind of see, but there's no pole. And you can do the same thing when you're like mounting this to a motorcycle. If you've got it stuck all the way out there, you don't see the pole, you just see what looks like a floating camera. That feature alone is game-changing to 360 cameras, I think. But I have to go through, you know, you don't have to be a post-production expert to paint out the pole every time. It just disappears. So if you've got one of these, you can use it in your hand, over your shoulder, whatever, but you can also mount it because it's got a tripod screw on the bottom and a tripod screw on the top, so you can just screw this into a mount and do those off-bike shots like I've shown you where it's connected to the bike. For that, you're going to need some sort of mount. Well, in the old motorcycle bundle, the thing that hasn't changed is that you get a big bag of like the GoPro style clamp mounts, you know, the plates, the arms, the screws, self-adhesive pads, which are for the plates. You have this little extension arm, which is made of aluminium. This is all very good stuff. I'm very pleased to get more to add to my massive collection of stuff that I use. And it's got a little plastic spanner to tighten them up if you want to really get it tight. That hasn't changed. That's all very useful. Yes, you can get this stuff on eBay for cheap costs. However, I will say that this stuff seems to be slightly better quality than the cheap stuff you get. The cheap stuff works, but this is actually slightly tighter fitting in places, I found. In the old bundle with the One X, this was the bar mount that you got. Okay? It's absolutely awful. It's one of the worst things about it. This is what they should have done the whole time. This is made by a company called MWUPP. You can't buy this exact thing from them directly, but you can buy this part and you can buy this part. And I've looked at the costings of it, and it actually comes to about 30 something pounds, something like that, for this alone if you bought it with individual parts. But they include one. This is a bar mount, and as you can see, this just attaches to your bars. It's got a nice wide open jaw to get right round something. So that's tightened, so that's locked. This then has a tripod screw that you can put your camera directly onto the top of. So loosen this side one off, and it allows you to move it around like so. If I loosen it off more, it'll be a bit more free moving. There we go. Put it in the position that you want, lock it in place. There you go, you got a bar mount. The old one, as I say, rocked around so much it was completely useless, and I actually invested in my own mounts. This thing, although a little bit bulky, or bulkier than the ones that I normally use, is very, very good. I would be very happy to use this, and I may end up using it in some places because the anti-vibration with it, with its big rubber pads and stuff, is great. So massive improvement in the motorcycle bundle mount, and then you can attach your stick onto here, obviously, so you can mount this to the side of your bike or the back of your bike, extend the pole, have it up, and then the camera can record you. You can do one of those shots where it looks like the camera's floating behind the bike and nothing's attached to you. You've probably seen me do it, or some other people. Very cool. So that is a vast improvement. Oh, there's also two other things they send you with the bundle, which is a Insta360 branded 32 gig card, SD card, and they also send you one of these, which in reality is just a rubber cover which fits over the top of the camera and protects the lenses, but doesn't protect the screen. As I say, I would rather just use the neoprene case all the time, but if that's more convenient to your uses, you can just put it down on the desk, as I say, because the lens is protected. Is there anything I'm forgetting to... Yes, no, actually, I will say one thing. Sorry, a criticism, because I haven't really put any criticisms in this. Because Insta360, you've done good on this camera. Unlike the One R, where I had much to say, this is a very good improvement. It's fixed now, but it's worth mentioning, so you check your own if you order one, which is, you see this pin here. This pin here has a threaded screw running into it, and that turns, and that's the one that gets pulled to close this. That is a Phillips head screw, which runs through into there, which is threaded, as I mentioned, and it's been red Loctited in. However, on the one that I was given, they hadn't screwed it in properly. They got it in maybe half a turn before then the Loctite went off, and obviously they thought it was done. I put this on my bars, I tightened it up, I got a good amount of tightening going on, and I was just about to say, that'll do. And I gave it one little last, and that came straight off. The screw came out, and it just, you know, that's completely loose at that point. Had I had the camera on it at the time, yeah, could have been a problem. Or if I'd already been riding. So the only thing I would say is double check that that screw's been screwed in properly. It's a Phillips head screw. You can just... it is Loctited, so it might be difficult to move. But yeah, that was something worth mentioning, because, as I say, had I not done that last little tweak, had I had the camera on it, had I ridden down the road, I have no question that this thing would have some broken lenses right now. But I'm paranoid about checking mounts anyway. So, good mount. Only needed to screw it in better to fix it. It may have been a one-off, but if I find anything negative or anything I can warn you about, I'm going to do it, and I always do in my videos. So, something's worth mentioning. Yeah, that's in there. So as I say, I'm quite happy that this is perfectly safe to use now. It was just the fact that assembly hadn't been finalised, shall we say. Well, there we go. I hope that was shorter than my usual reviews. Trust me, it would have been longer if I put a lot more detail into it. If you found this video interesting or useful, please hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you are new here. I'm on my way to 100k. I'd also appreciate that. And if you'd like to help really support this channel and allow me to keep making honest videos like this, then please check out my Patreon. Links in the description. It's as little as $1 a month, and you get lots of benefits with that. But also, as I say, it means that I have no problems burning bridges with companies if they make bad products. But this one is a good one. Well done, Insta. Well, should we say, this one is a good one in my experience of using it so far. I will do a full review, or at least another talking about video like this in a couple of months once I've used it more. I'm sure I'll find some cool features. There may be some updates. They may have increased the frame rate from 5.7K 30 to 60. That is possible, maybe. Who knows? But I can only talk from my use of it so far. There we go. Let's end the video. Bye-bye.